Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. This is Pio Marolla speaking from ThinkLinkers, speaking to you from the wonderful city of Prague in the Czech Republic. It's really a pleasure to connect with you in this wonderful day. We have about 600 people, 600 plus people that registered for this topic that we have today that we will be discussing ERP versus MDM, the clash of business titans. So to begin with, I would like to ask you all, where are you coming from? Write in the comments where you're connecting from. It's kind of a rainy day here in Prague, in the headquarters of ThinkLinkers, but we're hoping for better days. Particularly, we are looking for better days for when we will have the Data Management Think Club, our flagship in-person event for data lovers and data professionals that are looking to connect, learn from each other, and get inspired by the most amazing data management stories out there in the world. Now, today we have Ole from Denmark. Hi, Nicola. Thomas from France. Great to see you here. United States, Kristin. Fantastic. Magdalena from Poland as well. Very, very good. Very, very good to see. We're all here to discuss ERP versus MDM. Now, for this session, we have an amazing guest. I'm sure many of you already are quite familiar with Brian Thomsen, the CEO of Astrocytia. Brian has been with us many times since, I believe it was 2021, really, when we had our data management marathon, a virtual event where we were all connecting when we were not able to actually travel and see each other face to face. Brian has been with us for 5, 6 events in a row, always spearheading the most original and important ideas when it comes to master data management, but not only master data management, as Brian is really someone who talks about MDM in a way that goes beyond data. It touches innovation, it touches people, it touches passion. So I'm really, really excited to hear about what Brian has to say about ERP versus MDM, because this is quite an interesting topic. Before we move on and we talk about the topic of the day, I would like to remind you all that on the 18th and 19th of April, we're all meeting in the beautiful city of Prague for an event with around 60 data management professionals. Now, the thing about the Data Management Think Club is this. We have a limited amount of people in order to favor interaction, networking, and knowledge sharing. It's very important in the world of innovation, technology, and data management to always be on the top of your game. Our contribution is to favor collaborative learning. It's when we basically sit down, dissect the topic, share, and really learn from each other's experience that we can advance in our digital transformation journey. Sometimes, you go to a classic training with a trainer and you're listening to the training, but there is a limited amount of idea sharing and interaction. That's why we like to do it we like to really make the point about our event to share experience, because we all come with a specific set of expertise that can contribute to the advancement when it comes to your digital journey. So, of course, Brian will be there. Brian has been representing Astrocytia, the lead partner of the previous Data Management Think Club. So, if you haven't joined yet, make sure you get a ticket. Fly to Prague. It's a beautiful city. We're looking forward to see you. Back to us. Without any further ado, it's time to invite on stage Brian Thomsen. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hi, Pio. Good to see you. I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. Very, very good. Very excited to have you here with us.
It's good to be here with the clash of titans, right?
Oh, yeah, indeed. That's a hot topic, indeed. I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen in the comments. Now, Brian, I think most people in our community know you. But in case there is that 1 or 2 people that don't know you yet, tell us something about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm Brian. I've been working the last 20 years with master data all over the world. It's been an exciting ride. Um, Started up Astrocytia almost 6 years ago. So looking more towards the whole change management and how to get people involved in the process when it comes to master data. So we work with customers from 100 people up to 75,000 people, and in many different industries. But the most common denominator is that they have the same problems. It's the same issues where there's internal silos, the way that the ERP is created versus the customer experience is not the ideal way. So I think we share a lot of the same pain points when we look at the projects, whether it's in Australia or whether it's in the US or in Europe. It's the same issues. And I think all of the data professionals, probably also on this call, are struggling with, really connecting the dots, connecting the people. And that's where the name Astrocytia comes from. It's astrocytes. It's the part of the neural network, the real human network, neural network, where information is distributed through neurons in the whole central nervous system. So that's where the name comes from. It's all around connectivity of people, passion, and technology.
Absolutely. Now, let's before we get to the clash, for the audience, let's define ERP and MDM.
That alone is the first challenge, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, ERP, enterprise resource planning, typically it's used for product design sometimes. It's used for creating orders, products, keeping stock, keeping track of delivery notes, etc., etc. But over time, of course, the ERP system and the whole ERP infrastructure and possibilities have evolved quite immensely. With having more PLM-driven sessions, having more CRM approach. So the ERP is expanding. And it's because, of course, there's a need for that. There's a need for having real information wherever you are using ERP data, that's for sure. But we cannot forget either that it's a transactional system, right? It's a system where you have orders, you have delivery notes, you have lead times, and many use it for suppliers, they use it for customers, then use it for products. The problem is often that even those entities are kind of disconnected, even within the same ERP system. So that's kind of the ERP world. MDM is another tricky one, right? Because isn't there a little bit of fragment of MDM in ERP? Yes, there is. A lot of products are created, a lot of suppliers and customers are created directly in the ERP system. So where does master data then come in? Well, master data is the one source of truth. It's making sure, and I think this is the difference. In our world, it's a different take on master data, as you said in the beginning, Pio. Master data is it's not a system. It's a vision and it's a way of working. It's a way of creating process excellence and it's a way of creating operational excellence. So obviously MDM, as we see it, is more of a layer end-to-end from product development through to customer experience and anything in between, and making sure that the data is synchronized. So it is a clash, but it's also a synergy where people can actually hold their hand between master data and MDM and making sure that you get the synergies out of the titans of the two worlds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There are already quite a few comments coming. So let's look at some of them. Nita here, ERP systems are designed for master data along with transactional data. What do you think about that?
True, to some point. But what I think people tend to forget, and that's why it's kind of a religion as well, ERP versus MDM, where does it belong? So the thing is that master data for us, it has to be universal. It has to fit into multiple purposes. And I think that is the beginning of the clash when it comes to ERP versus MDM, that ERP has a certain focus. I don't see salespeople in the ERP system, right? Already there's a huge difference. So when we look at the whole value chain, product design, buying, suppliers, maybe even factories, that's along those lines where the ERP starts and stops. What then?
Mhm.
Then you have CRM systems, you have PIM systems, you might have other MDM systems that translate the ERP data into a more customer-facing and customer-friendly way of looking at the products. So that is the major part of the issue, is that ERP is very inside out. So it's the way we buy, it's the way we create, it's our world, and then we push it to the market and hope that the customer buys it. I know that's a rough setup, but still, when we talk to customers around the world, customer relevance and customer experience is definitely not what the customers are seeing. And I think that is where the clash really begins. That, to be honest, I don't care what systems you use, but if you don't get the right customer experience, you're not making the money that you could. You're not positioning yourself in the market the way that you could with the right customer experience. So if you say customer experience and ERP in the same sentence, that is a clash as well.
Got it. More comments coming, and there seems to be a discussion about, the fact that so Nita added MDM for only master data, and earlier on Martina mentioned an ERP is no master data management solution.
Yeah.
And the limitation is it's not really for maintaining master data. So it's kind of a situation where, you see, MDM is just one model of ERP, like order management, purchase, finance. What do you think? Any comments on the comments that are coming in, Brian?
No, I think it shows the breadth of the whole issue, right? And I think what we work with is called contextual master data, right? So it might be relevant in this area for the ERP, it might be relevant for customer service in a different way, and it might be relevant for sales in a completely different way. But I think we can all say and hopefully agree that ERP data is not fit for purpose for all purposes. And that's where master data comes in, right? We have to enhance it the way that it's applicable and synchronizable across all the different systems, and more importantly, the processes. Because that is one of the major pain points internally, that people have to go into 3 or 4 different systems to get the truth. They have to look at, and we haven't even spoken about digital asset management either, right? That's, for us, at least, that's also master data. You can either create products or digital assets, create photographs or 3D renderings of your products or your services, right? But if it's not connected to your core master data, then it's disconnected. And I think that is why the silos are there. It's built for purpose of buying, producing, or selling, and that's it. But they're not joined. And I think that is one of the major parts of the issues here, that the data and the processes are flying all over the place, and people are frustrated internally, but more importantly, the customers are frustrated. They don't get the products or the services they require in their purchase situation.
So there's a bit of a slight lack of context.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we know is fundamental for data.
Exactly. And I think everybody that's been working with master data, right, knows, okay, it's fine when it's in the ERP, we've created the orders, we have this SLA, we have the lead time, we have the purchase price, etc. Then we come to marketing and digital, and then suddenly doesn't fit at all. So there you have to repurpose it again, and typically there's 12 departments end-to-end that repurpose data all the time. So that's why we talk about contextual master data, making sure that we can actually spin it around to make it relevant. And I think that is one of the major pain points, is that the data you have lots. It's not data you need more of, but you need to have it boiled down to what is relevant in your situation, in your job, in your role. And this is where the synchronization of ERP and master data comes to play.
Yeah. There's a question here coming. Actually, there's many questions coming in and many comments. It's really good to see that. There's a question from Alison. What's your view on PLM data as technical attributes typically originate from engineering in the context of MDM?
Yeah, and that's a very good question, because that is typically, if you are a manufacturing company or design company, this is where the data originates. And that's before it comes into the ERP system typically, right? So there's a PLM system maybe, or it might be even worse, a completely offline product creation where there's digital assets, there's people involved, there's certain amounts of data you need. You need to think of your product assortment. You need to think of your pricing and what price points you want to hit. So my view on PLM data, it's definitely also master data. That is where it originates from, even before it comes into the ERP system. But a lot of the design team, they know everything around the product. They know the material, they know the packaging, they know the whole purpose of the product. Then it goes into ERP, and it has to be purchase order price. Which suppliers are we getting it from? Then it comes to marketing. Then we have to blow it up again.
Yeah.
Right. To make it and inflate the same data back to maybe not the original form it was in, but add to the value. Okay, what does that mean? These nice features that PLM had, what does that actually mean for the customers? And I think that's my view for sure on master data, that it's definitely originating from PLM if you have it, or you need it from your suppliers if you're onboarding products or services as part of that. So it's a very important starting point. But I think if we look at the entire value chain, you have to build value up as part of the value chain, not try and repeat every silo, because then you end up having to work, as we see with a lot of customers, between 300 to 500% to get 100%. And that is just not sustainable. You can't grow your business on that. So that's why we need to have this clash of the titans. We need to have this discussion. We need to have a different vision on what is master data, because your customer, they don't give a beep. They just want, hopefully, your products and your services and your knowledge. So back to the PLM data, all of that knowledge has to come out to the customer so they know exactly what you are. And that's where we try and bridge the gap with master data, getting you closer to the customers, because they will evolve big time.
Yeah. Here's an interesting, one more interesting comment from Nita. Master data management is business vision and mission, where ERP is the backbone for the entire product life cycle. What do you think about that?
Well, I kind of disagree, to be honest, because it is definitely a vision and a mission. The ERP is the backbone, but the product life cycle is still, when I look at it, it's from a commercial perspective. It's the product life cycle, because what about after sales? What about spare parts? What about when you have complaints around your products because it's bad quality, right? And that's a good example to the other question. We have to take that all the way back to engineering and to the PLM, so we don't keep making the same mistakes. There is a product life cycle, but there's also a data life cycle, and I think that's a big difference when it comes to after sales, etc. We're working with many different customers, and some of the bigger ones that have products on the market. It might be a pump, it might be an electronic device. They have a lifespan of maybe 20 years, right? So for them, it's relevant to have the right information for their technicians that go out and service the product afterwards, software updates, etc., etc. And I think this is where the magic of master data comes in. You have that intelligence centrally. That's at least the way we try and approach master data. We're all business driven. Let's create the business logic using master data to synchronize the systems.
Yeah. Talking about customer experience, which you mentioned earlier, where should one cleanse and keep master data? Neither system seemed the right solution for that.
Yeah, and I actually agree. It is It is difficult because, again, what is relevant? And now we focused on product master data. The other thing is supplier master data, location master data, and customer master data, right? And if some of you guys have stores as well, selling through stores or wholesalers, right, that's a completely different topic as well.
Yeah.
So you will have many types of customers. There will be many purchasing decisions to be made where you need potentially completely different sets of master data. So the cleansing always as close to the source as humanly possible. But again, it has to come from the relevance, right? So you can identify in your analytics systems or BI systems, there might be different customer clusters, but where do you actually maintain that customer cluster, right? That is the difficult part.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to religion many times. But our religion is, if you don't have that intelligence, you can clean it, you can update it, and you can make it better. You don't have that central intelligence. You have to be able to learn from your master data and your whole business. You have to learn from your customers, because otherwise they will move further and further away from you.
Got it. Yeah, indeed. And talking about customers, now, of course, you work with a lot of organizations, helping them exactly assessing this sort of clash of business titans. Do you feel what do you feel gets the most attention at first, ERP or MDM?
Unfortunately, definitely ERP, because it's a simple use case. Nobody can kind of live without it. It's there. You have to have it to create your sales. You have to create it to create your finances, etc., etc. It is the backbone, as one of the users also said, but it's not the only backbone. Like with the astrocytes, there's many different elements that have to come together to create the backbone of a company. We're seeing right now, we have like 5 examples of where people are spending millions on ERP systems and just upgrading ERP systems. That's also great, but what does it mean from the customer's perspective?
Yeah.
They still get the goods, they still get the delivery note, they still get the label on the box. For them, there's no difference, but yet people spend many millions on that, creating frustration because it doesn't really help the business. It actually hinders it sometimes. So that's why you see a lot of customization, SAP and ERP, Business Central going way over budget, because it's not tackling the issues. But it's what everybody does anyway. So that is the struggle. The struggle is real, I can tell you. Because it is just a lot of budget goes into that without even looking at master data. Some are pretty good at it, but as I said, it's still very ERP product driven, maybe customer driven if you're lucky. But if we just look at the different data domains, supplier, product, customers, they're typically totally siloed, even within the ERP system, right? So you need some glue to actually hold those things together. So when you pull on the customer side, you know exactly what turnover of products do they have, what is their product life cycle, and that's where you get the customer intelligence to be part of it. So you can keep going back, developing better services, better products, and limiting the amount of customization you need to do in the ERP system and also all the other systems that are dependent on both master data and ERP data.
Yeah. I've heard of this issue. Long projects that end up not bringing the desired outcomes. Let's say.
Yeah,
they cost a lot of money, but they do not save you. Let's say.
no, it's a lot of budget and it's a lot of frustration, and that's why we try to be very empathic and live the ways our customers live, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. But there's so much frustration within the organization. People are not getting the data that they need. They do workarounds and spreadsheets. They do workaround of hand carrying data from one system to another, right? So it's we need to do something, and we're here to help, and I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
I can see Maria has a question
Yeah.
around location master data. It's an interesting one, but it covers a lot of things. So we usually take locations and countries out of the context, so to speak, and create different objects or different logics for that. So location master data for us is your suppliers, for example, country of origin, specific geocodes where you have maybe even different locations from your suppliers that have different business units. You have location master data for your own production, for your own offices as well. You have location data for factories. We usually create digital twins of factories with master data and ERP systems to make sure that we know exactly which products are going through that location, because some of the things like forecasting is actually also a pain point. Same goes for customers. If you sell to customers, again, the country, which country are you shipping to, are you selling to? Because those three elements already, if we look at the ESG and our challenges that will come, have come when it comes to sustainability, social, etc., you need to load the locations. Otherwise, how are you going to measure your footprint? How are you going to measure whether the supplier in India versus the one in Pakistan has the right code of conduct, etc.? So you need to load locations. So location is becoming much more relevant as we speak every day.
Yeah, I mean, sustainability, environmental reports are becoming more and more important, and it's important to be compliant, not only because there are regulations, but also because it's because customers are demanding that, and of course
it's the right thing to do.
And
right?
it's the right thing to do, exactly.
Yes.
So there's more than one reason. The fine is not the biggest problem, probably. It's more about the impact. Yeah.
And that triggers another thought, right? Because who is managing ESG going forward? There's definitely big business when it comes to ESG and the way that the accountants and the accounting companies are positioning themselves. So again, ERP and ESG seems to be the direction it's going, but does it really cover the whole journey? I don't think so. So that's why when we think of ESG, which is a huge thing, with one customer, for example, we've been working with just packaging. So we have a production bill of material, and we have a distribution/packaging bill of material, and we have a sales configuration or sales bill of material. You need to have those all connected. So we can actually do reporting on packaging. And again, because we know where you're shipping it, again, that's transactional, that's fine. But we have the data connected. So no matter where you pull the data, you can report on it. And I think that's extremely important. In most of Europe, when you sell to the public sector, for example, also larger corporations, there's between 25 and 30% of their decision that is made on, can you provide the ESG report on this?
Yeah.
Right. And if they don't trust the data, master data and ERP data is bad enough, right? But ESG data, you can't cheat. It has to be correct. So we see a lot of fancy reports out there when it comes to ESG, but it takes most companies more than a year to put that together. And the background behind it and the trust in the data is that slim.
Yeah.
So here's a little challenge for us going forward, everyone.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Now let's see. Let us go back to the question I asked you before about what gets the most attention. So, why do you think it is so, and why perhaps we should look at ERP versus MDM in a slightly different way, where MDM gets the necessary recognition and fights on equal and joins the business titans clash properly?
I think you need to look at it from a strategic business perspective, because otherwise you'll end up in these wars internally, and not only clashes with ERP, MDM, it's also CRM systems, it's analytics, it's BI, right? That are the minor clashes, but it doesn't move anything, right? Let's focus on the outcome. What is it that we want to achieve as a company? We want to establish growth. We want to establish sustainability. Focus on that, and then the rest are just quotation marks details. But you cannot focus on one without the other. And I think at least MDM versus ERP should have 50% negotiation power internally, because without master data, an ERP system can't perform. Without the right ERP data, an MDM system can't perform, right? So it's important we focus on the goals and the strategy. And I think this is the secret sauce that we add to this, is to make sure that we have the vision and we have the way to go there, and we have tons of examples to show, because it's very hard for MDM people and data people to convince. It is hard to sell because you can't see it, you can't feel it. So the more tangible you can make it, and the more practical use cases you can show to say, well, for our customers, they can't go into 5 different areas to connect with us as a company. We need to have one way of connecting. We need to have the same data in the way that our customers are engaging with us. So it's as I say, it's more of a vision battle actually when it comes together. Let's get the Titans holding hands and make sure that the business really grows and can be scalable from it. And the employees internally are happy. They have data literacy. They know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about a customer, when we talk about a product, when we talk about a supplier. Because right now there's many different truths typically within companies. And we need to have one version of that truth that is contextual and is relevant for both internally and for your customers. So it's a mission to you. What can I say? And it's a never-ending one.
100%. Now, there's going to be a difficult one. Let's help our viewers or data management professionals in general to help to talk to the business side and be a bit the evangelists for master data. How can they present it in a way within this clash of business titans in a way that, it gets the recognition it deserves?
Yeah. Well, I think you need to go Rambo style and not just go with evangelist. I think a lot of us probably also in this session have tried to evangelize forever, right? I think now's the time to stop that. It's you can do only so much. You need to have it practical. It needs to be very concrete use cases, business cases to say, and have examples of saying this is where ERP solves this and MDM solves this. Okay, if we go together, we can actually sell better in the new market we want to go into. It has to be that simple. So evangelizing is just not enough anymore. We have to kick in doors. We have to get the management to the seats, but we have to be extremely practical. We have to be extremely on the spot. This is where the customer experience is bad. So that is definitely what we see as an easier trend to really get things on the table, is look at the customers. They're the ones paying our salary. They're the ones paying for the factories, our product lifecycle management systems, right? And if they're not happy, then the rest is just waste. So it has to come up to the surface. The discussions have to be made, and you have to have a strong vision and strong leadership and engagement with management to make this happening. Because they can also give you the goal of, okay, if we do this, this will increase our customer loyalty by 5%, right? So you take them on board as your partners in this, because if you don't get it, it's going to be a never-ending battle of spending millions of dollars or euros or whatever, creating no value.
Yeah. So hard facts, really, basically.
And practical examples.
Absolutely, and really bringing examples that are relevant to the C-level, because if we're talking about cleansing, or if we're talking about things that the C-level doesn't see, it's a little bit different. It's a bit difficult to change the mindset about master data. So examples that are really like you said, here's our customers, they pay, this is what they want, this is how master data helps.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're back to evangelizing, we're back to data management, being the custodians and the cleanup up of all the shitty data that we have in the organizations, right? That's not where master data belongs. It belongs in the driving seat of creating good data, not maintaining it. So I think it comes back to the value. How can we add value to the data that we have already? Make it easier and more contextual and more relevant for us internally and for the customers. Because nobody can grow on bad data. Nobody can grow on bad processes, right? So we have to, and speaking of change management, right? If we can see that the customers are wanting this, you don't need argumentation anymore, right? You need to fix it and start doing it and fix it at the source instead of trying to clean it up 7 steps later where it's too late.
Yeah. So ERP versus MDM, who wins?
Hopefully both, but it has to go hand in hand, right? And it has to stop with these silos. It has to stop with these never-ending discussions and overspending of budget, right, left, and center, right? We have to make it back to the business. IT, great, but it's not. Master data is not IT. It's a vision. It's a way of working. And I think that is a very important part to get across today, is that without that vision, you'll get nowhere, but you'll get there fast.
Yeah. And here's a comment from Julian. Fully agree. In addition, a data culture must be created. This, in turn, must match the corporate culture.
Yeah. And it's one of the difficult parts, right? Because we all have pride in what we do within our silo. We're proud of the way we design products, with the way we sell to the customers. We love the customers. But again, yes, it has to match the company culture and the corporate culture. But sometimes that also creates the silos, right? So the silos are a part of the culture or the non-culture. So sometimes you have to be a bit bold and break patterns. You have to create new ways of collaborating, because you can have the greatest culture in the world, but if it's not relevant for the customers, it's irrelevant, right? So you have to, and I think that is the way we use it as a strategic tool of utilizing the systems you already have, and then making the business logic in the whole master data layer end to end, knowing your suppliers, your factories, your customers, your supply chain, whatever. It has to be connected. And I think that's the most important part, that the people are connected, the technology is connected, and the knowledge is connected. Because if that's not connected, how are you going to connect to your customers?
Yeah. I agree with you. There's, everyone wants recognition, and everyone, is proud of the work they do. And when it comes to, connecting visions and aligning, this data culture with corporate culture, yes, it's a delicate balance. Because, of course, if you are trying to stop the waves with a broom and change completely the direction of a company, starting from a data culture or from a data vision, it's not going to work that well, right?
No, it's not.
So,
And that's why the whole change management, the whole involvement of purchasing, customer service, etc., is so key, because they have the pain points daily. You don't.
Yeah.
They have it. So I think the more you can get involvement from these key users of master data, subscribers of master data, get their feedback on how can we make it easier for you. That's the way we operate, and that's the beauty. As coming as an external is sometimes 10 times easier. We can probably come in and say the same thing you've been saying for 10 years, and then suddenly, okay, now we get it, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
So that's the benefit sometimes, but it's also annoying for people that have been evangelizing for many years that we've been saying this for 10 years. Why aren't they listening? The answer is
Yeah.
that they're just not. They need to have a bit more provocative messaging and a bit more provocative saying, if you want to grow your business, you need to do this, this, and this. If you want to have better relationships with your suppliers, you want to do this, this, and this. If you want the whole ESG roadmap, you need to do this, this, and this. So it becomes practical and easy to understand, because otherwise, yeah, we can try and evangelize everything we want, but we won't get anywhere.
Yeah. Now, talking about ESG, we'll meet each other in Prague in April. And can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek about what you will be speaking about at the Data Management Think Club?
Sure, because as I mentioned, ESG is becoming a major part of company and has to be a part of company culture. But nobody really has the approach to do it and don't have that connectivity of data. So again, based on the whole ESG vision, right? We try and paint how do you need to connect the data, how do you need to connect the people within the organization and the knowledge, so that we have the right knowledge when it comes to the product. What's the content of the product? What's the location, country of origin? And that is where we'll have some pretty practical examples as well of how to connect the dots and make sure that you can report on ESG and also control it instead of being behind, where you just have requirements right, left, and center, and then you panic and you start doing all sorts of things. So we try and flip it around again. Instead of the customer out here, we have ESG out here. How do we make sure that we can get the right processes in place, the right data in place, so we get the data and people working for us and not against us, so we can provide exactly what is needed? Because ESG is going to be a major part of positioning companies throughout the world. And again, we have one world. We only have one set of resources. So it has a bigger impact, of course. So that was a bit of a teaser for the session that we'll do in Prague.
Yeah. Well, I really look forward to that. And of course, I look forward to meet all the 60 people that will be there speaking about data management, MDM, all these fantastic topics. And but let's say not the whole world will show up in Prague. So for those who want to find out more about you, if they want to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Write me an email. Always happy to help and also provide tips and tricks, because I don't do this because it's a job for me. I do it because it's a passion for me. I know the difference it can make for people, individual people, and I think there's a few on this session as well. I've helped along the way. So write me an email. It's brth@astrocytia.com. brth@astrocytia.com. We also have connect@astrocytia.com, whatever you prefer. You can come to Denmark, come to Aarhus to visit us. We can come to you. We're happy to help. We are a global setup, so we can't be everywhere at once, but we can definitely do a lot with planning. So would love for you guys to reach out. We have a ton of knowledge, and we're happy to share that, and we're happy to help you on the journey. So feel free to connect.
Perfect. And of course, add Brian on LinkedIn.
Exactly.
Is the quickest. And absolutely, that's really fantastic. Of course, I know that everyone that will be able to show up in Prague will have quite a treat listening to you talking about ESG and sustainability. And I wanted to ask you as a last question, where did the passion come from? As you mentioned that this is not just a job, but really a passion.
I think it's a matter of in my whole life career, I've been taking people from a vision through to training people, seeing the joy in people's lives and people's eyes when you actually help them, being there for them. I think that's what really triggers me, is that we move people as well as businesses, as well as data. But for me, it starts with the people, and that, yeah, I just love seeing, the results. So delivering back to the people that had the pain points that we interviewed, let's say 6 months ago, now we can deliver back to them to say, guys, here it is, right? You've been involved. We delivered what you had of pain points. So I think that's what triggers my passion, is to, really help people get connected and make it easier for them, both on the management level and on the operational level.
Fantastic. Brian, thank you very much. As always, it's a great pleasure to speak to you. And I also want to thank everyone that connected us and watched our session today. And I wish you all a fantastic continuation of your day. Brian, thank you very much.
See you out there. Thanks.